Okay, well, welcome back to the Methane Pavilion here at COP26. And this is really a treat for me to have Antha Williams, the lead of climate and energy for Bloomberg Philanthropies. Antha, we just had a big announcement yesterday, nations of the world committing to reducing methane pollution. And of course, you and I have been working on this issue for, seems like the better part of a decade.
Yeah.
So it's really quite a moment,
Yeah.
and of course your support and engagement on this issue, Mike's support and engagement on this issue, has just been so critical. But maybe you could just share with us why Bloomberg Philanthropies so early on got engaged with the methane issue, and what you think that issue now means, and where do you think we go from here?
Sure, that sounds great. Well, thank you for having me, and it's indeed a really exciting moment. It just feels like there's so much momentum, and to see more than 100 leaders of the world stand up and say, we're going to do this and cut methane emissions by 30% by 2030 is just incredible and so needed. Mike Bloomberg is a real data guy, and so starting, as you said, about a decade ago, when the science began to come in, about the threat of methane and how much of a driver of the short-term warming that we're experiencing now that potent gas is, Mike just became really energized by it. And you all at EDF have been such leaders in doing the science and translating it so that people can really understand what a potent greenhouse gas methane is and how we really need to work hard to cut it. And so in the early days, some of our first commitments around methane pollution were in the United States based on EDF science and really looking to the handful of states where there's an awful lot of oil and gas operations and an awful lot of methane leaks. And our work has really grown from there. At Bloomberg, of course, we work a lot in cities, and so the work to actually be able to see where leaks are happening and work, in partnership with companies to try to identify and fix those leaks is an important first step. But I think as climate has become a more urgent problem for people, the outside just pressure campaigns of like we've got to clean this stuff up has become really, really important. So we've been thrilled to support the work through EDF, now Carbon Mapper, Earthworks. It feels like there's a really good group, of people who have gotten really energized, and everybody brings different things, and we need all of them.
And of course, one of the things that I think is most unique about Bloomberg Philanthropies is very much the focus that progress can be made from the ground up, right? That there's a lot of resources that you've put into work in states and cities that often gets overlooked sometimes at these international conferences where people are so focused on nations and international institutions. So much of this can happen at the local level. I think it's really, you're playing an incredibly important role. But likewise, you put a lot of emphasis on, as you said, data and information, and I know you have been, putting money into getting better data on methane and other pollutants. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about some of that work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's such an exciting set of developments in our field. I mean, the revolution in the availability of technology for sensing environmental pollution, and the revolution in data and analytics and the ability to actually make it decision useful. And so we have been really pleased to be a part of this global methane pledge, which includes support for some of the work to do satellites and remote sensing, really building on the work that EDF has done with the flyovers that first brought attention to the issue of these methane leaks in the United States. And now looking to the Carbon Mapper Accelerator to get satellites up with methane sensing technology by 2023, and by 2025 have a real constellation and array of satellites that are providing real-time decision-useful data on where methane is leaking, and that's very much in partnership with you and others. And so it's a lot of work, and in addition to the data, we really need the on-the-ground work to make decisions and both at the corporate
so
level.
how to get that data into the hands of people who can make the best use of it.
That's right.
Right, whether it's a policymaker, maybe it's someone in industry, but I think as well, civil society groups.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
none
right.
of this would be happening without the pressure that we see from civil society.
That's exactly right. People demanding action,
Yeah.
and because methane is such a potent climate warmer, there is, I think, a lot more awareness among civil society in the public about the need to just clean this up. The good news is for governments and companies, it should be a win-win, right? They don't want to be leaking a commodity that they could be, capturing, using, selling. So there's an opportunity there, but we really have to cut emissions from this sector, and I think now there's a path to do it.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited about where we are and where we can go from here. But of course, reducing methane emissions is only half the challenge, right? We have to keep the focus on getting CO2 out of our economy, out of our energy economy.
Yep.
Right? It's not one or the other. It's really both.
That's right.
And I know that Bloomberg Philanthropies had a very exciting announcement earlier this week.
Yeah.
Related to that, maybe you can share a little bit about what you're up to.
Thank you for asking. Mike announced just this week that we'll expand work on energy transition around the world to move off of coal and support clean energy access in more than 25 new countries where we've not worked on that issue before, in Africa and Latin America and Asia. And he put a really ambitious goal next to that, which is that we'll work in just the next 4 years to close a quarter of the world's existing coal-fired power plants and transition them to cleaner sources of energy and block every single one of the 519 new proposed coal-fired power plants. And it's an exciting goal because it's clarifying. I mean, the science has come in. We're not going to hit our climate targets if we build new coal-fired power plants. And so through a combination of the public campaigning, building public demand, working with governments, doing litigation, winning new policies, and doing the direct investments in helping create the clean energy pipeline to provide energy access to people who lack it, there's a really strong strategy to get it done. So the pressure's on, but we're excited about that new work.
Well, but there's really the track record there. I mean,
Yep.
the Beyond Coal campaign in the United States and now in Europe has just seen some phenomenal results.
Yeah.
So I imagine that gives you quite the confidence that this is something that really can be taken to global scale.
That's exactly right. I mean, in the United States, the retirement of now 65% of our coal fleet is the leading driver of the emissions reductions that we've seen over the past decade. In Europe, fortunately, the Beyond Coal campaign has seen more success even faster. So just in the last 4 years, they've retired about 50% of Europe's coal and moved to clean energy, which is fantastic. And now we need to expand that work. There's sister campaigns that were inspired by those efforts in Australia and South Korea and Japan, which are quite incredible. But now the work to ensure that no new coal is built, just like we did that in the U.S., just like we did that in Europe, is going to be really quite urgent. So we're very excited about that work.
So bottom up, data-driven,
Yep.
audacious. That's Bloomberg Philanthropies.
You've got it. You've got it.
Awesome. Well,
and strong partners. We love working with strong partners.
And we love working with you.
So
thank you for all of the support and help that you've given to us over the years. We couldn't be doing this without you. So let me thank you for taking a few minutes. I know you're incredibly busy. So thank you for taking a few minutes to drop by the Methane Pavilion and enjoy the methane moment together with us. A lot of work to do ahead. And we're looking forward to continuing that partnership. So
Thanks so much. Thanks for your hard work and leadership. It's a pleasure, Mark.
All right.
All right.